Hello and welcome. You are watching UATV News with me, Ksenia Vuhai. First, at this hour, the latest developments from Ukraine. President of the European Council, Charles Michel, and Ukrainian head of state, Volodymyr Zelensky, discussed key issues of mutual cooperation during a meeting in Kyiv. President of Ukraine expressed hope that the EU extends sanctions against Russia for its aggression against Ukraine, while Charles Michel reassured his counterpart of his commitment to Ukraine's security and territorial integrity. Ukraine has the full support of the U.S. president. Participants of the webinar, Ukraine and the United States allies, what is the future of this relationship? Well-known diplomats and experts discussed the issues of bilateral cooperation between the countries. In particular, under Biden's administration, Ukraine has more chances to speed up its movement towards NATO membership, get a stable and comprehensive support of its reforms, and effectively counter Russian aggression.
With Joe Biden's election, Ukraine can be assured of strong U.S. support for Ukraine's sovereignty, for its right to pursue NATO membership. And we know the administration is already working to increase defense assistance to Ukraine and bolster security in the Black Sea. The administration may be prepared to take a more prominent role in the diplomacy to end the occupation of Donbass and to push back harder on Russian aggression using sanctions and other tools.
And it's very clear that the Biden administration is going to support Ukraine against Russian aggression. It will support Ukraine's sovereignty, its independence. It will continue the policy of insisting on restoration of Ukraine's territorial integrity and the non-recognition of Russia's illegal seizure of Crimea. I think President Biden is now going to be fully aligned and supportive of his policy, of his administration's policy. That will continue American economic and military assistance. The Pentagon has just announced $125 million for Ukraine today.
Strengthening quarantine restrictions in several regions of Ukraine. For instance, all school children in the Vinnytsia region will go to distance learning, and all the planned operations and hospitalizations are prohibited. Meanwhile, vaccination against COVID-19 begins in Mariupol. The first batch of the Indian Coalshield drug is already delivered to the city.
A sharp increase in the number of the infected in Vinnytsia region forced the local authorities to tighten quarantine. Schools will switch to distance learning, while pensioners will be banned from using public transport.
At present, 63% of hospital beds are full. We're preparing another 90 beds at our Center for Infectious Diseases. More than 1,000 patients are on the oxygen supply. This is also an anti-record: 1,093 patients in 27 hospitals.
Meanwhile, 200 medical workers have already been vaccinated against coronavirus in Lviv region.
Medical workers of the hospitals dealing with COVID and emergency hospitals will be vaccinated first, then elderly people in permanent residence care centers. Then the vaccination of police officers, emergency service workers, education and social workers will get the jab.
Only one mobile brigade is carrying out immunization in the region. 4 more will join this week. Physicians are now undergoing online training. In turn, vaccination is just beginning in Mariupol. The city received the first batch, 500 doses of Covishield vaccine. At the initial stage, they plan to vaccinate about 200 doctors. Our mobile team workers and the staff of the primary healthcare center will be among the first to get the vaccine. At the second stage of vaccination, all outpatient clinics workers will be vaccinated. Well, of course, only those who want. To conduct a mass testing of Mariupol residents, more than 60,000 express tests were additionally delivered to the city. They were purchased at the state budget expense. The tests will be distributed among city hospitals. We are grateful that these tests are free of charge, and the testing will be free of charge as well. As a primary care center's employees, we will visit patients, and if we need an emergency examination to get the necessary result, we will do it. The examination usually takes some 20–25 minutes. Over the past days, 7,232 new cases of COVID-19 were registered in Ukraine. 5,118 persons recovered. The worst situation is in Ivano-Frankivsk, Chernivtsi and Zaporizhzhia regions. Reported by Vadim Kramer, Arina Kantanistova, Yulia Bil, Nadia Sukhorukova, UATV News.
The Indian-made Covishield vaccine purchased by Ukraine is completely identical to the AstraZeneca drug. This was stated by the UK ambassador to Ukraine, Melinda Simmons. She noted that the difference between vaccines is only in the name due to the location of production facilities in different countries. The United Kingdom expects 10 million doses of Coalshield vaccine to be shipped in the nearest future. In addition, Canada has also purchased 500,000 doses of this vaccine from the Indian manufacturer. Vaccines, a fact-check, Covishield and Oxford AstraZeneca AZD1222. COVID-19 vaccines are one and the same. Covishield is the name license for AZD1222, manufactured in India. Any suggestion that the AstraZeneca Covishield vaccines being used in Ukraine differ in formula is categorically incorrect. The jury's verdict will become a reality in Ukraine. In accordance with the draft laws developed, the jury will be able to make decisions independently from the judges. This should increase public confidence in the justice system. This was discussed at the All-Ukrainian Forum, Ukraine 30 Development of Justice. Our correspondent will tell more about the trial jury and its work in Ukraine.
The direct participation of Ukrainian citizens in the administration of justice is a very important issue. We are introducing the rule of people in Ukraine, and this is not only local but all Ukrainian referendums. One of their tools is the trial jury. According to the constitution, a Ukrainian can administer justice as a member of a jury. However, at present, the judge is the one to say a final word. The reform should make the verdict of the people's representatives in court decisive. The legislation will also prescribe clear mechanisms for involving citizens into work of the jury. The jury selection procedure is formalized. There are no such criteria by which a member of a jury can be challenged. Those are clear criteria, like in the United States or other countries which have introduced this institute. We are going to work upon the development of appropriate procedural rules that would make it possible to bring this idea to life. The jury is not planned to be involved in all court hearings. Citizens will only be able to participate in those dealing with criminal cases. At the end of the trial, they will be able to pass a verdict on the guilt or innocence of the defendant. We need a jury trial in cases of especially dangerous crimes when it comes about someone's death. In these cases, it is necessary that they look with a fresh eye. People who are not specialists, lawyers, judges, prosecutors looked at the circumstances of the case, so that they look at it from the angle of public morality and evaluate the deed. The jury trial is expected to increase the general level of public confidence in the judicial system.
It's a good practice, I guess, but I think that there may be some kind of fraud with the selection of jurors. There might be corrupt individuals. However, in general, the practice is good.
On the one hand, it is good when the public participates in the trial. In case of a jury trial, it joins directly. On the other hand, there is a high responsibility before the society. This is already a question of the general level of education. How do they plan to select jurors? How would they issue a verdict, unanimously or by a majority of votes? Ukrainian legislators are going to decide this. They have already developed 2 bills to resolve these problems. They plan to finalize and consider them in the parliament already this year. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Artem Holub, UATV News.
The Parliament intends to resume the work of the High Qualification Commission of Judges of Ukraine. The MPs have, in the first reading, approved a bill on the procedure for the formation and activities of the Commission. The document introduces amendments to the laws on the judicial system, the status of judges, and the High Council of Justice. According to it, the High Qualification Commission of Judges of Ukraine has to consist of 16 members. 8 of them may be chosen among the incumbent or retired judges. Appointment to the position of a member of the High Qualification Commission will be made by the High Council of Justice for 4 years based on the results of competition. The meetings of the competition committee must be open.
Our goal is to create a new High Qualification Commission of Judges of Ukraine in a transparent and open competition. The law envisages that all interviews with the candidates will be held via video broadcasting. The new High Qualification Commission of Judges of Ukraine is not about judges we lack. It's about the completion of competition procedures in the court of first instance and in the higher intellectual property court. This is also the continuation of the self-cleaning of the judicial power.
Ukraine might not switch to the so-called summertime. The parliamentarians supported in the first reading the bill that cancels the transition to the daylight saving time. According to the initiator of the bill, shifting clocks harms Ukrainian citizens' health. It leads to a restructuring of the body's biorhythms. Besides, the decision is set to contribute to the deoccupation and reintegration of the territories temporarily not controlled by Ukraine.
The basic ideology of this draft law is to switch to the winter time natural for Ukraine. We should set the one Kyiv time throughout the entire territory of Ukraine involving temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. You know, the self-proclaimed authorities set Moscow time across temporarily occupied territories.
The Affordable Mortgage, a program of concessional loans for housing at 7% interest rate, initiated by the President of Ukraine, has been launched in Ukraine. Benefits apply to loans up to $71,500 According to Ministry of Finance, nearly 5,000 families will be able to apply for this program in 2021. The first mortgage has already been issued in Kyiv. Teacher of one of the sports schools, Anna Pokus, got the keys for her new flat. The Kyiv resident shared the experience of obtaining a loan with our correspondent.
Anna Pokus is the coach of a children's soccer team. She spends almost all her time at work. For the last few years, she has been renting a room in a dormitory. She couldn't even dream of owning an apartment. But having heard about the affordable 7% mortgage program, she decided to try to get a loan.
15% was an initial payment. The rest was divided into 20 years at 7% per annum and with the opportunity of early repayment.
7 banks participate in the affordable 7% mortgage program. To get a loan, the borrower needs to prove that he needs to improve his living conditions. Anna brought her income certificate and documents confirming that she lives in a hostel. After applying for a loan, Anna was given keys to her own apartment in a new house.
This program is designed for the middle class. It is available for them. Of course, you need to confirm your income to apply for this program. Given the average apartment costs some $21,000 and the initial contribution of 15%, the minimum monthly payment makes somewhere around $180. It is affordable for a family.
A monthly payment of $180 is not a problem for Anna at all, the woman says.
It is great that there is such a project. I think this is a big step into the future for young people who do not have the funds now, who constantly spend money on rented housing, and now you can invest in your own apartment.
The affordable 7% mortgage program applies to apartments and private houses in the primary and secondary housing market. However, the residential building should be commissioned no earlier than 2018. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Natalia Bilokudria, UATV News.
Delicious Acquaintance with Ukraine. A book about Ukrainian cuisine and its history was presented in Kyiv. The authors have collected 80 of the most popular and unusual recipes from all regions of the country. They are set to change the idea of Ukrainian cuisine. The book also describes the culinary traditions of Ukraine, the technique of processing and storing food. The publication is already available in electronic format on the website of the Ukrainian Institute. With this book, I would like to change the focus and perception of the visual picture of Ukrainian cuisine so that everyone closing their eyes and imagine Ukrainian cuisine sees not only borscht and a piece of lard in a museum exhibit, but something dynamic being a part of modern culture. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. More updates on our official website, YouTube and Facebook pages.